Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another hour of English classes here on Verbling.com. My name is Lisa, and I'm one of the English teachers here at Verbling. And in this hour, we're going to be having a reading class. I chose an article for today's reading from the BBC website, and it's about smoking in France and what the government is doing now with the cigarettes packaging specifically. So we're going to read that article together. We're going to go over some of the vocabulary, and then we're going to have time to discuss it. So we're going to find out what you think about this idea and smoking in general, and maybe what happens in your own country related to the packaging of cigarettes. Okay, so welcome everybody. Hi guys. Diego, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine. Thanks. And you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Welcome to class.
Thank you.
All right. And Vitaly, how are you?
Hello, Lisa. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How's your day been?
It's very well. Thank you for asking.
Good. Vitaly, remind me, where are you calling from right now?
I'm from Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan. Okay. And
it's second lesson with you.
Okay, great. And what time is it right now in Kazakhstan?
10 p.m.
Oh, okay. All right. So you're 11 hours from where I am. 10 p.m. Wait, no.
p.m.
12. No, I'm at 11. I'm getting confused. I'm in Washington State. Okay, if it were 11, all right, you'd be 12. It's 11 hours, yeah. Okay, well, welcome you guys. I put the link to the document in the Verbling chat, and we're going to just wait a second. We'll do a little talking here, and we'll just wait a minute and see if some other people join us. Sometimes people who are taking other classes before this hour, sometimes the classes go over a little bit, and so more people join us after the first couple of minutes. But in the meantime, you guys can open this article, and I'm going to put it in the screen share so we can all view it. Hi there, Alejandro. Welcome. Okay, let's see. Here is where I took it from. So you guys are probably familiar with the BBC. This is from the news in Europe. So here at the top you can see if you're interested in finding things to read in English, the BBC.com is a place to go. And you can read about, read about news in lots of different places around the world. You can also read about business and health, science, the environment, technology, entertainment, things like that. You can even watch some videos if you're looking for something interesting to watch or listen to in English. But this story, I just grabbed my attention. I'm actually learning French myself, so I listen to the French news in the morning when I can, and I was hearing about this on the news. So I saw it and I thought maybe it might be interesting to you guys. Most of the people who join here at this time are from Europe, some European country, and so maybe it's relevant because I don't know if what happens in one European country might happen in another. I don't know these days because you guys are involved with the European Union, so maybe you have similar things happening in your country as well. So I thought we could read this article, and then talk about it. So it looks like we have some more people joining, and David's saying hi in the chat. Hi, David, and welcome to class, Greg. Hi, Greg.
Hi.
How's it going?
I'm fine. I decided to join.
Okay. Great. Awesome. And Elena, how are you doing? Hi, Elena. I don't hear you, so if you're speaking, I'm not hearing you. So maybe you want to refresh. There you go. Anytime you have problems with your microphone or hearing us or us hearing you, that kind of thing, the best fix usually is to refresh your page, or we also say reload your page. Another thing to try if it really doesn't work is to restart your computer, and sometimes you have to change browsers. So sometimes if you're using Firefox or Chrome or Explorer or something like that, maybe try another browser to see if you have a better connection or a better experience using Verbling with Google Hangouts. Okay, so this is the article. It's called France to Introduce Plain Cigarette Packaging. And here's a picture right there of the cigarettes and the packaging. Before we get started, let me just ask you guys a little bit about smoking. So, Vitaly, in Kazakhstan, is smoking pretty popular these days? Are a lot of people smoking, or not so many people?
In Kazakhstan, a lot of people are smoking. It's true. Yes. In old world.
Yeah.
It's very popular.
Yeah, you know, it does seem popular, and I think it depends on where you live. Some places, especially like in the United States, some cities, some towns have more smokers than others, perhaps, and different towns have different, let's say, taxes and things related to cigarettes. So depending on where you live, cigarettes can be quite expensive, and in other states in the United States, it's not so expensive. So I'm going to just show this really quickly because it's interesting to think about in different countries as well. Vitaly, do you smoke?
I don't know.
Okay. I'm going to get that out of here. This is just, I'll give you guys the link if you want to open it too, but it's just a quick thing that shows how much cigarettes cost in different parts of the United States last year. So they go anywhere from basically like $5 a pack up to the most expensive is $14.50 per pack of cigarettes, which is in the state of New York. So very expensive, yes. Very expensive. The state that I live in, which is Washington State on the West Coast, is number 11 at $8.31 a pack. So that's still quite expensive, depending on how many cigarettes you smoke per day, how many packs you need to buy. It's kind of an expensive habit to have, for sure. All right, so that gives you an idea of what prices are in the United States. Let's see, what about Greg? Well, you're living in England right now. Do you experience people smoking a lot, and do you smoke at all?
No, I don't smoke. I cannot say that I didn't try because maybe I tried to the 50 times in my life. Probably not more because I don't know about the UK. I see they have special rooms in the workplaces and many other places. In Poland, I think it started 4 years ago, and that in public places you cannot smoke. But there's some gaps in our lab. For example, one of the problems was that the staircase in a block of apartments wasn't really a public place, so you can in theory smoke there, and even if policemen come close to you and want to give you a ticket for the public place, there will be some kind of legislation gap that, you know, it is not exactly clear if he can do it in this place.
Okay, I see. Okay, yeah, so there are some rules about where you can or can't.
Yes, our government right now is start to working on something, because when you cannot smoke in the public places, people try to use these electronic cigarettes. Now I didn't try even one of them, even once, but I know some people try it, and the producer tried to think about the different flavors of this kind of cigarettes, and they tried to tempt people.
Tempt people, yeah.
And our government, tried to force with the citizens to, you cannot smoke the normal cigarettes. You cannot, in the future, you will not be allowed to smoke electronic cigarettes.
The electronic cigarettes. Oh, okay. Yeah.
But there's one thing. I still remember that when I was in 2009, 2010 at the university, it wasn't really that the students outside smoke because there's a lot of smoke there. We go on the break. But even my lecturer, when I have the oral exam, he decided to smoke during the exam. So he was a lawyer, so
he needed a break. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Funny situation in that.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Elena, what about in Spain? Do you think a lot of people smoke or not so many?
Well, first of all, I do smoke.
Okay, you smoke.
In fact, I'm smoking right now. One of the things I love of Berlin classes is that I can smoke during the class.
You can smoke
I always
and learn
smoke.
English.
Yes. Yes, and
right.
I don't disturb anyone, and in fact, no one knows. Know it because you
we can't see you.
Yes. I can put my camera on, but I am going not. I don't going to do it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, in Spain, yes, a lot of people smoke, but less and less people smoke. Along the time during the last few years.
Okay.
And I think that's good. Of course, because we smokers, heavy smokers, as I am, know perfectly that this is bad for our health and so on.
Yeah.
But, well, there's a lot of things that are bad for our health, and I don't know, perhaps the war against tobacco make us to be, I don't know, warriors for tobacco, and I think that's a stupid thing. Perhaps, but sometimes we feel society see us like awful people, and I don't know, and I as a smoker, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I think tobacco is something that is with humanity for a long time, for some centuries.
Yeah.
And it's somehow a free decision. So I don't like the war against tobacco because I don't like war at all.
Yeah. So you like when people have the freedom to make personal choices?
Yes, but of course I have smoked in some places in the past that I don't smoke now in those places, and I think that's the right thing. I have smoked in the past, a lot of years ago, in buses or in class. In the exams, and I think that's wrong. That's bad because nobody has to sorry. I mean, some people can't be disturbed by my smoke, and
Yeah.
that's a bad thing.
Okay.
But I don't want to be seen like a public enemy, because I don't.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am not.
So you want to respect other people's space, maybe, and the fact that they don't want to smell smoke, but you also want to be respected so that you want to be able to do what you want to do in a place that's also appropriate for that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thanks. Diego, what about you? Do you smoke?
No, I've never smoked in my life.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Also, I was looking here at the cost of tobacco and cigarettes in Spain. So it looks like it's a little cheaper for the most part in than it is here in the United States in some places like New York. So do you know how much it cost you, Elena, for a pack of cigarettes?
I don't smoke packet cigarettes,
Oh.
because sometimes ago, 2 or 3 years ago,
Uh-huh.
the price raised a lot.
Uh-huh.
So I began to make my own cigarettes, and nowadays it's not for the money. It's for the money as well, but I prefer the cigarettes I make.
Yeah.
So it's not very expensive.
Okay.
For me now, in fact, it's cheaper now than, I don't know, 5 or 8 years ago.
Oh, okay,
Because
interesting.
I do it.
Yeah. We say I roll my own cigarettes.
Yes, I roll them.
I roll my own. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's popular here also with some people rolling their own cigarettes versus buying packages. Yeah. Ken, hi. You're joining us. Welcome. Oh, great. We're just about ready, but I was checking in with everybody just to get a sense of the ideas around smoking. So, Ken, in Japan, do people smoke quite a lot or not so much?
Not so much nowadays.
Uh-huh.
A lot of public place ban smoking.
Right, yeah.
Only the bars. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and what about you? Do you smoke? Whoops, having trouble with his connection, looks like. Okay, well, we'll find out from him when he comes back. All right, so let's get started. France to introduce plain cigarette packaging. So as you can see in the picture, plain, it's plain just means like there's no graphics, it's not a lot of stuff on it. It's just a very simple looking packaging. All right, the French government has unveiled controversial new measures to cut the number of its smokers, including introducing plain cigarette packaging. The proposals are specifically aimed at reducing the high rates of teenage smokers in France. Health Minister Marisol Touraine plans to follow Australia's example, which introduced similar measures in 2012. Okay, Vitaly, why don't you read first for us?
France to introduce plain cigarette packing. The French government has unveiled controversial new measures to cut the number of its smokers, including introducing plain cigarette packing. The proposals are specifically aimed at reducing the high rates of teenage smokers in France. Health Minister Marisol Touraine plans to follow Australia's example with introduce similar measures in the 2012 experts say removing.
Stop there. Yeah, we're just going to read a little bit at a time. So stop there. And then I'm going to go over vocabulary so everybody has a chance to read. Okay, so plain cigarette packaging. So I was looking and just checking out what Australia has done, since it just mentioned that. And so the idea is that it's going to be generic or standardized. So the idea is there's not going to be any special logos or brand names or anything like that. It's just going to be plain. That's what plain means. Okay, so I'll go over some words here. The French government has unveiled, so it means uncovered, or is now showing. When you unveil something, I've explained this word before. The veil is like when you get married, the bride has a veil over her face sometimes. And then when they're married, the groom lifts it up and then they kiss and they're married. So that is to unveil or to uncover or to show the public these new measures, these new rules. And the purpose of, they're controversial, which means people don't agree. Some people like the idea, some people don't like the idea. But the purpose is to try to cut the number of smokers. So to reduce is another way to say that. Reduce the number of smokers by introducing this plain cigarette packaging. All right, the proposals. So a proposal is like an idea. We have a plan. This is what we want to do. We make a proposal. They're specifically aimed at. So if you're paying attention to like phrasal verbs and things, this is one. So aimed at doing something. So the goal of this is to reduce the high rates of teenage smokers in France. So people in their teens are smoking quite a bit. And I did notice that when I was in France. It's pretty popular for teenagers to be smoking, at least in Paris, where I was. All right, so the health minister, so this is the person kind of in charge in the government about health issues, plans to follow Australia's example. So Australia did something. They introduced similar measures, so same kind or very similar means like almost the same, a couple of years ago. All right, experts say removing branding on packets and adding large health warnings reduced smoking in Australia. However, some tobacco companies dispute the evidence for this and say France's plans are incomprehensible. Smoking is the main cause of death in France, with more than 70,000 people dying each year of tobacco-related illnesses. Okay. Next is Greg. Your mic's muted, Greg.
Okay.
There you go.
Expert says removing branding on packets and adding large health warnings reduced smoking in Australia. However, some tobacco companies dispute the evidence for this and say France's plans are incomprehensible. Smoking is the main cause of death in France, with more than 70,000 people dying each year of tobacco-related illnesses.
Mm-hmm. All right, they say, experts say, sometimes you see the word that in that place right there, so I just want you to know either one is okay. Experts say that, removing branding, or just removing branding. So branding is when you see, like you saw the Marlboro Man, you know, so the brand has a design, a graphic logo, and that's the brand that you see on products. So if you remove them, you take them off, and instead you add large health warnings. So instead of each individual cigarette package being different, and you know this brand or that company or something, instead they're going to look something like this. There's a health warning, very graphic, very trying to be very shocking and, you know, disrupting your day, and then maybe just put a brand name there. So maybe it says Marlboro or some other type of brand. I don't know a lot of cigarette brands, but so they're all going to look the same. That's the basic idea. All right, so they say it has reduced smoking in Australia. However, some of the tobacco companies, they dispute. So that means they argue with the evidence for this. They're not in agreement, and they say that France's plans are incomprehensible. So they're not understandable. They don't understand why France is planning to do this. So they don't like it, and they don't agree with the findings. You know, they don't believe that smoking really was reduced. All right. And then, of course, it's the main cause of death. So this is a common little expression there. The main cause of death in such and such country is. So in the United States, it's heart disease or heart attacks. That's the main cause of death right now. And then we say tobacco-related illnesses. So some of those obviously would be like lung cancer, but they also put other ones in the same category, and they call them tobacco-related. All right. The new measures, which will come into effect once the law goes through the National Assembly, also includes a ban on smoking in children's play areas, in public parks, and in cars carrying children under 12. In addition, advertising of e-cigarettes will be restricted before being banned in May 2016, except at the point of sale and trade in publications. Ms. Touraine says there are 13 million smokers in France, which has a population of around 66 million, and the number of smokers is growing, especially among young people. Okay. Elena.
The new measures, which will come into effect once the law goes through the National Assembly, also includes a ban on smoking in children's play areas, in public parks, and in cars carrying children under 12.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, advertisements of e-cigarettes will be restricted before being banned in May 2016, except at the point of sale and in trade publications. Mrs. Touraine says there are 13 million smokers in France, which has a population of around 66 million, and the numbers of smokers is growing, especially among young people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Good. All right. So again, the new measures or the new rules, which come into effect. So when something comes into effect, that's when it starts. So they're going to start being the law, basically, pretty soon. All right. So when it comes, or which will come into effect once the law goes through the National Assembly, that's part of the government in France. It's going to include some other things as well, including a ban on. So we ban things and we say there is a ban on something. So in this case, smoking in children's play areas, in public parks. Here you could also use at public parks, so saying it doesn't matter which preposition there. And also in cars carrying children under 12. So nowadays that's okay to do. So if you're a parent and you have a child under 12, you will not be able to smoke while they are in the car, while they're driving with you as passenger. All right, so in addition, so this just is another way that we, to go on with the same idea. So additionally, or in addition, or moreover, that kind of thing, or furthermore, you could use lots of different ways to continue the same idea. The advertising of e-cigarettes is going to be restricted. So they're only going to be able to do it in certain places, which are, the exceptions are, at the point of sale. So that's like if you're at a store and the place where they're actually selling the cigarettes, that's where they can advertise them. So that's okay. And also trade publications. So a trade publication is a magazine or a journal that's specifically related to a trade. So like the e-cigarette industry, could be like the auto industry, the plane industry, something like that. So it's called a trade publication. Okay, so quite a few smokers per person, you could say, or per thousands of people or whatever. So 66 million smokers. 66 million people. 13 million are smokers in France. So, and the number is growing. So the number is growing means more and more people are starting to smoke, especially the young people. Okay, quoting here again, we can't accept that tobacco kills 73,000 people every year in our country, the equivalent of a plane crash every day with 200 people on board, she added. The BBC's Hugh Sheffield in Paris says the move goes well beyond what France is required to do under European anti-smoking rules. All right, so the subheading here says completely incomprehensible. EU, European Union, laws already force tobacco firms to cover 65% of the packaging with health warnings. But Ms. Touraine said they would be the same shape, same size, same color, same typeset if the ban came into effect. Okay. Diego.
Okay. We can accept somebody has the sound is in I hear the sound in my headphones. Okay. We can accept that tobacco kills 73,000 people every year in our country. The equivalent of a plane crash every day with 200 people on board, she added. The BBC's Hugh Sheffield in Paris says the move goes well beyond what France is required to do under European anti-smoking rules. Completely incomprehensible, EU laws already force tobacco firms to cover 65% of the packaging with health warnings, but Mrs. Touraine said they will be the same shape, same size, same color, same typeset if the ban came into effect.
Okay, great. Is that better? Do you still have a sound, Diego, or is that okay?
Now it's okay.
Okay. All right. So we can't accept. So we don't, when that's how government officials talk, we can't accept this, They say it's just not what they want, It's not acceptable that we have these people dying from tobacco. All right. So it's the equivalent of, so it's kind of like making an analogy here, saying that it's just like having a plane crash every day with 200 people on board. So on board just means on the plane. All right, so that's kind of a dark kind of image there. But people try to make their points by making analogies like that and seeing what it could be like. All right, so let's see. It says the move. So here they're talking about the move means the plan to go forward with these measures. So when somebody like an agency or a government is making a move, it means they're doing something, they're taking an action towards something else. So the move goes well beyond. So this measure, this new law that they want, is more than or well beyond what France is required to do. So the European Union has their own anti-smoking rules that every country is required to follow. But this one is going to go beyond that. So it's going to be even, we could say stricter is a word. Harsher, it's going to be more, tougher, that kind of thing. All right, so these laws already force, when you force somebody or a company or something to do something, it's like what you're requiring them to do. Sometimes it's by law, sometimes it's, you're forced to do something for other reasons. But in this case, they're supposed to be covering 65% of the packaging with health warnings. So that's with those pictures or with words that say smoking is dangerous, that type of thing. But in this case, they're all going to be the same. So same in the size, shape, everything, if the ban came into effect. So if it were to come into effect is what she means. All right, Céline Audibert, a spokeswoman for French firm Ceta, which is a subsidiary of Imperial Tobacco, described the move as completely incomprehensible. It's based on the Australian experience, which, more than a failure, was a complete fiasco, added Ms. Audibert. In 2012, Australia forced all cigarettes to be sold in identical brown packets, largely covered with graphic health warnings. Tobacco clearances, an indicator of tobacco volumes in the Australian market, fell 3.4% in 2013 compared with 2012. But Australia also raised cigarette taxes that led to consumer prices increasing, creating doubt over which move made the most difference. Okay, Ken.
Okay, Céline Audibert, a spokeswoman for French films Theatre, which is a subsidiary of Imperial Tobacco, described the move as completely incomprehensible. Australian experience, which more than a failure, was complete fiasco, added Ms. Audibert. In 2012, Australia forced all cigarettes to be sold in the identical brown packets, largely covered with graphic health warnings. Tobacco clearance, an indicator to tobacco volumes in the Australian market, fell 3.4% in 2013 compared with 2012. But Australia also raised cigarette taxes that led to consumer prices increasing, creating doubt over which move made the most difference.
Okay. Good. All right. So let me go over some words. All right. A spokeswoman. So we see this word a lot. Spokesman, spokeswoman, spokesperson. It's the person who speaks for somebody else. Like could be a person who speaks for the government, a government agency, for a company, for a famous person, something like that. All right. So a subsidiary of. So in the business world, you have large corporations, and then sometimes those corporations have subsidiaries that are owned partially or entirely by the larger business, the larger company there. So that's what that is. So CETA is a subsidiary of a larger company called Imperial Tobacco. She says, again, it's completely incomprehensible. So completely here means like totally, we don't understand why they're doing this. This is not a good idea. That's the basic idea. It's based on. So when you base something on something else, that's what you're using as your example. So they're basing it on the Australian experience or example, which she says was a failure and a complete fiasco. A fiasco is kind of like something that just creates a lot of problems, very chaotic, and nobody really knows what's happening, and things, just a lot of problems. It is a fiasco. So it's not a good thing. And so that's the way she's painting that particular thing that happened in Australia. When they forced, so again, by a law, they forced, which means they required, all of the cigarettes to be sold in identical. Identical means they have to look the same. Identical means the same. We can use that word also. You might hear it with identical twins, for example, twins that look the same. All right, so they're covered with graphic, like I said, that picture there with some person with an oxygen mask on or something. That's a graphic. It's very shocking. You're looking at it, and it's supposed to be a health warning. To warn you to not buy the cigarettes. Tobacco clearances just means how much tobacco was actually cleared for use as for smoking and stuff. And so supposedly in the market it fell. So that's one indicator that maybe less people are smoking. But the last sentence says because they also raised the taxes on the cigarettes, so they made an increase in taxes, that could have also been a reason, because therefore that leads to, or that led to in the past tense, consumer prices going up, increasing, and so that creates kind of a doubt, an uncertainty. Which action made the most difference? Was it really the packaging, or was it the fact that the prices went up? So, all All right, so before we get into our discussion, which we have 20 minutes for, does anybody have any questions about the language, like the English, anything you didn't understand that you want me to explain?
No, just a simple technical question.
Sure.
Use the names for the like company and firm. There's a firm.
Yeah.
And in this case, I always thought that we're thinking about the small companies, and in this case, it wasn't really clear because it was rather a big company, big firm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in English, there's quite a few words that you can use to talk about a company. So you can just say a company, you could say a business, you could say the firm or a firm, and then you could even talk about a corporation. That's actually a specific type of legal structure. But a lot of times you'll hear any of those words kind of used basically what we say is interchangeably. So you can use them. And you'll even hear enterprise maybe sometimes.
Yes, enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I was quite surprised by the film because I was thinking that film it is 10 people, 8 people in the small company, and I never really think that I will see that was used in the text when actually it point at the big company and in the text was used as a film.
Yeah.
So I was quite surprised.
Yeah, and I'm trying to see if they make a difference here. No, they're not even talking about here. A business, yeah. So any of these would be synonyms: company, business, concern, organization, enterprise, corporation. Lots of different ways. So basically, the actual definition is a business concern, especially one involving a partnership of 2 or more people.
Right.
Yeah. So it could be used, like you said, for a smaller company, like a law firm, maybe just has a few lawyers working there. But it could be a big firm. And so maybe sometimes some writers might choose to make that differentiation and say, a very large firm or something like that,
Okay.
Yeah. But otherwise, in general, you can kind of just know what they're talking. It's some type of business. How big it is, we don't necessarily know. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions about the language? All right. So I have a question that I want you guys to think about after reading this. I'm putting it in the Verbling chat. So it's kind of like this. Do you agree that governments should, I spelled it wrong, regulate, instead of regulate cigarette companies for public health reasons? Why or why not? So the main idea here, as you can see from this lady's, the information here, is kind of like the idea is because so many people are dying of these tobacco-related illnesses, it's a major cause of death. In France, it's the number 1 cause of death. And so she says we can't accept that. So as a public health official, this person would believe it is the government's responsibility to try to get people to stop smoking. And so one way to do that is to make these rules and regulations that limit what the companies can do. So unlike other companies that are maybe selling computers and technology and clothing or something like that, who are free to advertise their products in any kind of way, governments typically regulate tobacco and also alcohol in certain ways to make it more difficult for a person to purchase it, either by putting a lot of taxes on it, or, as we can see in this article, changing the way that they can actually present their product to the market. So I'm wondering what you guys think of that. Is that a good thing that governments should do, or do you disagree with that idea and you don't think it's the role of the government? What do you think, Vitaly? And there's no right or wrong answers. There's just people's opinions, obviously. Yeah.
What I think. In the text, all true. It all rules must be in the whole country because a lot of people every year um, do it.
Are dying, yeah.
Die, sorry.
So do you agree that the government, it is good, like it's appropriate for the government to limit what the companies can do, how they can market their product?
I don't know, but that say is in the text. It's very true to use for companies to limit
their we would say limit their advertising.
Yes, advertising. Yes, place for smokers. For smokers, yes.
For smokers, yeah. Okay.
It's difficult to explain. Sorry.
That's okay. We can we'll listen to some other people and see how they explain it. And if you have questions, you can always ask me as well if you want to. If you're not quite sure how to say what it is that you want. But Greg, what do you think? Is it appropriate? We could say that the government does that.
I think that every government will have own mission to regulate the market. If we think about the cigarette companies who specialize in it, the government has a plan because they want to reduce the problems of heart disease related, like cancer of lung and things like that. Because in the country where is the public, medical system, that everyone can use it. The cost will be the cost of to cure the patient who actually have this cancer or the other problems will just taxpayers will be forced to cover this amount of money that is spent on these diseases. It's from one. This is not exactly fair. And this is what the government actually should made the right decision. On the other hand, we have specific issues when we have in Poland something like producers try to cheat on customers. They use things like this is light cigarettes. They are more healthy than strong cigarettes and stuff like that. So there's no discussion here. On the other hand, when the government in every aspect of our life try to make regulation, it actually paralyzes the market, it destroys the economy, and if the government all over again, in everything they try to regulate what we should do and what we should not do it, there will be a time there's not too much space for freedom. And that is quite strange. I still remember there's a show in the United States when there was a discussion many years ago about the banning of smoking in the United States, and there was a fictional situation where the government of the United States allowed to people smoke only in one building in one state, and people there, that's fictional situation. People there, one of them said, I drive here to this building to be allowed to smoke for 2 days, and tomorrow I have to start my work. So, so that was a ridiculous situation, total fiction, but we have to be aware of the fact if a government regulation in one area, we can see the similar regulation in other areas because they always have this kind of bad feeling that maybe we should regulate a couple of other areas of economy. So it's not really about the problem. If in this case it was doing it in the right way, it's a problem because they make another restriction, and it's always dangerous. That's it.
Okay, yeah, good. So you're kind of presenting like there's two sides. There are always at least two sides to an issue, and one of the ones that you mentioned also is from the government's perspective. Especially in a government that provides free health care. Okay, Diego, take care. Bye. If you have to leave. From a point of view of a government, if you're using taxpayer money to take care of people who, the idea, I guess, would be that you could decide not to smoke, and if you did decide, the assumption is you would be healthier and you wouldn't need healthcare related care, so you wouldn't need so much government help is kind of the idea. So it would be cheaper for the government.
Yeah, that would be cheaper if they don't have to worry about the people who try to help themselves using the alcohol or cigarettes. But
sure, certainly, yeah.
But we have these questions, I think, in every country. Do you smoke? Do you drink? And
absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and it's a big expense, and it's also a big market, for making money also. So.
But on the other hand, we have government who, every day, because this is the problem in every country, try to look like another dictator in a country that we call democracy, but we just every day this democracy start becoming a new communist country or other
controlled system, more controlled. Yeah. It's the the other idea is trying to so it's like freedom versus control comes down to another like political issue here.
Because this is the political issue. You can meet politicians who say, the government shouldn't care about what I do. What I do, I can, for example, one of the radical examples was, there's a politician who, when the election was very controversial, he said, I don't care what government thinks about the pharmacy. I should be allowed to go to the pharmacy, ask about every medicine without the prescription. So, but it's too radical.
Yeah, that's kind of radical. Okay. Yeah, and sometimes, people don't want the government to decide what's healthy or not for them, personally. Okay. All right, Elena, what would you say to this? What do you think is the proper role of the government in something like this?
I would say such a lot of things. So it's very difficult for me because this is a matter very sensible for me because as I have said, I am a smoker and I have strong opinions about that.
Yeah.
So what's the role of government? Government should care for the health of population, of course, but at the same time, it has to give us some freedom. As I said before, nowadays, as I see, there's a war against tobacco and smokers, and I don't like war.
Yeah,
I don't like war in any way. So it seems like we smokers are guilty of somewhat I don't know. I think I am where I work. I pay my taxes, and I'm not a devil
Yeah.
or a bad a bad person.
Yeah.
I just smoke. I drink as well. I like drinking. And for example, is it bad for the care for the health care system? Well, I don't know, perhaps, of course, but stress is bad as well.
Yeah, other things might be is just as bad, kind of.
Yes. What want to do? Take care of the wealthy people. Just of wealthy people.
Yeah.
We all have our weak points.
Yeah.
So well, that's one of my weak points. Just one. I have a lot. So okay.
So to not be punished.
I can have sex without protection sometimes. Perhaps, I don't know. I'm guilty of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, about regulations. It's okay that there are advisements of tobacco in children movies? Of course not. It's obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's really, we don't have time to go into it, but that's a really interesting topic too, is like, when is it appropriate for a person to decide if they want to smoke or drink? What age? Is there a certain age that, where you have more ability to think? And I don't know, that's a topic for another time maybe, but it's interesting. Ken, let's let you have the last word. We only have 2 minutes left. Do you think it's appropriate for the governments to restrict this type of product specifically?
Japanese government is not like that, not so strict like that. We have no more package on tobacco. But some warning, it can be harmful to your health. Just that's it. And nowadays, tobacco-related commercial disappeared from magazine, TV, radio. So, but not like in Europe or France or. So I'm a non-smoker, so I'm afraid of second-hand smoking.
Yeah.
Because it is said it's more harmful sometimes because people have to inhale the smoke without filter. So for me, it's comfortable. In the past, sometimes some restaurants separate table, smokers table and non-smokers table, but in the end, it's in we share the space. So air comes from smoker section, so it doesn't make sense. So for non-smokers, current situation is comfortable, but for smokers, I understand it's pretty uncomfortable for smokers. They have to pay a lot of tax and they are treated kind of, I cannot say.
Well, we say there's a word that we use.
Kind of the drug is banned, shifted time to time. Actually,
yeah.
Alcohol was illegal in America.
Yeah.
Now, some weed began to be legal at some states of the United States.
Yeah,
now
marijuana.
The time smokers, maybe tobacco, regulation getting harsher and harsher. It could be the political problem. I'm not sure about that, but
yeah,
I don't know the true reason whether it is truly harmful or not. If it is truly harmful, maybe it should be regulated, but I need more information to judge this kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to know, and especially like Elena would probably agree. Like there are other things that are just as harmful, or maybe more harmful, including even like factory smoke and chemicals and toxic waste and things like that. Yeah, great.
I think energetic, beverage that you can buy in every shop that can cause heart attack.
Like Red Bull or something like that?
Yeah, similar stuff.
Uh-huh, yeah. You live until you die, so. Okay, guys, thank you for coming and talking about this. It's obviously an issue that, yeah, definitely is taking place everywhere. People trying to live together and do what they want to do, but also have some kind of respect for others. And so, yeah, I always enjoy these kind of discussions and hearing what you guys think. So thank you for participating, and I'll see you another time.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.